Okay, so here's the second part. We ended the last video, you had pinned it and hopefully sewn across. So now you've got these pleats nice and sewn. And so you have two pieces like that. They look like this on the front. So next we are going to take the right sides together. So you can see these nice finished edges here are on the bottom. You're gonna match them up and you're gonna match that top up. You're gonna pin it and you're gonna sew along the top here. So what that looks like after you're done with that is here. This is already, you can see I sewed a 1/4 inch seam up there. And then after you sew that, you're going to open it, press it down with your iron so that it's nice and flat. What it looks like when you've done that is this, nice and flat. So now you've got, this is open still. You've got the pleat sewn and you've got the top sewn. Those bottom parts now you can see on both sides. One side, here's the finished edge. Other side is the same, identical on both sides. So once you've done that, the next thing you are going to do is sew on the pattern. This is for a little pocket for the nose for them to put a wire in if they want. You'll notice this opening, this is an opening, so you don't stitch here. So you're going to stitch a line here and you're going to stitch an L here. So you can see I have one that I have marked up and then sewn. You can see the L and the straight line. So if you were to go up in there, you would be able to get your finger in there and stick a little wire in that pocket to hold that across the nose. So helpful hint, my husband very kindly has a laser cutter and was able to cut me a guide that I'm using to trace so I don't have to keep measuring. The measurements are listed here, but I don't want to keep doing that. So he made me a nice little guide. I'm sure you can make one out of cardboard or paper so you don't have to keep measuring that. So now we've got the little nose piece sewed. Last step here, let's move that out of the way. All right, last step. Those two bands we made previously, those long strips. First step, fold it in half and ironed. So this is the 2 inch. I have folded it in half and I have ironed a nice crease all the way down. After you do that, the next step is you're going to open up that crease and you're going to fold the edges in and fold the edges in and press it. So that's all going to become nice and folded on itself. Those loose edges are inside and it's going to be about a 1/2 inch wide when you're done with that. So now you've got this nice long band. It's like you've made your own bias tape. Then you are going to set that in. Pin it, and then you're going to sew all the way from the end along here and all the way down to the very bottom of the end. I also like to tuck these guys under when I sew them so there's no loose ends. Remember, these masks, if they're going to get washed, are going to get washed very aggressively, so I'm trying to make sure there are no loose ends for fabric to fray. So make sure that you center this nicely on your band. I like to have extra long band on the top part. Tying around the top of the head requires more length. 16 inches was not long enough. I liked over 20 inches. You can experiment because once you sew it all up, you can try it on your head. But I recommend making sure the top part stays longer. I think the last one I did, I kept the bottom one 16 inches off of the bottom and the top one the rest of the length. Because I was cutting over 40, that made it nice and generous on the top. Let's see. Oh, and one more hint. So here is my finished one that I did previously with white material. You can see it's all sewn up. There's that nice little seam all the way up, and then you just follow that in. One more hint. After you're all done, run one more seam along here and one more seam along here to reinforce the ties being connected to the face mask part. You can see that the bottoms do stay. Let's move that way. The bottom does stay open, so they can, the medical staff can get in there and get to that nose pocket. I also believe this design is keeping this opened so that if they want to add a filter, they can. And that is it. Good luck.